What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Canes Insight Daily Podcast, powered by Anijar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Happy Monday. Huge weekend for the Canes. Got a commit. Had a ton of big-time recruits on campus, as many as I've seen. They were giants, and it was really, really good event with a pool party. Also had a big practice, not quite a scrimmage, as some people thought it was going to be a full scrimmage, but you had some good work going on, some players emerging. We will break down all of those things here on the Canes Insight Daily Podcast. First, I want to talk about some folks. Talk about loaded. These guys are always loaded with some of the best attorneys in Florida. That is Anijar and Levine Accident Attorneys. If you or someone you care about has been injured in an accident, you could be entitled to significant compensation. Dial 1-800-747-FREE, 1-800-747-3733. Take back control of your life with Anijar and Levine. Pete, hop in here.
Good morning, D.
How we doing?
Doing well.
Yeah, man, it's feeling good with this weekend, man. It was a big one, just recruiting wise, knowing the quality of kid that was here, getting a commitment from one of my favorite players who we're talking about. We already got comments in the chat about the Bosnian Bulldog. I think that's caught on. We got to get this guy on campus because that thing will get pretty popular. Maybe get some shirts. We'll do like an NIL partnership deal with him.
Yeah, I got to talk to his agent, Steven Petrovich.
So we'll talk to our boy Steven Petrovich and get this thing rolling. But first, I want to talk about football and my favorite player right now that we're after, which is Joel Ervin, committed to the Canes over the weekend. Listen to these measurements, and people are going to say I'm making this up. These are verified measurements. These measurements were posted by FSU, but I'm told from Miami that they're accurate. 6'6.5", 330 pounds. 11.5-inch hands, 88-inch wingspan. I saw him in person last week and this week because he was on campus both weekends. We had Kenyi Pepe on campus, 5-star giant from IMG. He looked phenomenal. Brett Collegier, we'll talk about some of these guys. Chancellor Campbell, John Jones was on campus earlier from that same area. We've had Jackson Cantwell, number 1 overall player in the country. So we've had some giants, Cannon Pickett, on campus. This guy, Joel Ervin, and we also Tommy Tofi, another big guy from California. This guy, Joel Ervin, by far the biggest guy we had on campus. He just stood like just half a head above everybody else. Well put together. I heard he's only 16 years old. He's 330, but he doesn't look it. Elite NFL measurements. And then when you watch the film is good. He's flexible. You see just his stance. He can hit moving targets. Here you see him on the run, hitting moving targets at 330-plus pounds. He's a finisher. He's dragging guys down. Not dragging them down. He's pushing them down well after the whistle. There he is, just giving the guy the earthquake smash right after he knocked him down. So the tenacity is there. The flexibility is there. You see it in his stance. Lance Roffers, Hurricane Vision.
Armstrong.
I know, man. What am I doing this morning? Lance Roffers, Hurricane Vision, had a great breakdown on the board earlier today about Irvin and why he thought he was a big time player. But here you see the finishing. The film's good. The tape is good. Whoever gave this guy a 3-star should be sent to El Salvador. He is considered internally to be a major prospect, and he committed to Miami this weekend. The staff is absolutely over the moon. First reported the interest in Joel Ervin and the degree of interest in Joel Ervin on the Canes Insight podcast, on the bank. That's why you watch this show and go on the website, 7 million posts and counting.
D Huck's asking if he's twitched up.
I mean, look, he's 7'7" or 6'7", 330 pounds. So, I mean, the guy's a giant. So, he's not going to move the same as like a 6'2" center. But, yeah, I mean, I don't think he's a plotter. I mean, he moves pretty good from what I'm seeing here. You're seeing a lot of second-level blocks, a lot of space blocks. He gets out of his stance pretty fast. Is he like just incredibly twitchy and explosive? I don't know. But I think between the flexibility, the coordination, and the size, I'm seeing what I want to see from an athletic standpoint to play tackle.
Canes Cat T305 asking what the reasoning is for him not being ranked high. Does he not go to camps?
Yeah, he doesn't go to camps. I don't think he's been measured, so like I'm telling you right now his measurements, because he got measured when he visited FSU and they posted it, and then Miami confirmed. But it's not like he went to like an Under Armour camp or something where the UC report would have his measurables for everybody to see. So he's still listed on 247 at 6'6", 280, which that's good size for a high school tackle. But there's a lot of guys that are 6'6", 280 in this class. There's not a lot of guys that are almost 6'7", 330 plus with that wingspan and that hand size that look the way he does. So I think that's probably a big reason. But yeah, this guy's got to be, top of the board.
Yeah, without a doubt. Let's see if there's any other questions here. Well, we have a lot of questions related to practice and stuff. We'll get to that, later in the show as well. But other visitors on campus this weekend as well, D.
Yeah, there was some big time guys, right? I mentioned that when you looked at Irvin, he was the biggest guy. There were a lot of candidates. This was probably the biggest group of prospects on campus. Derek Cooper was there. He looked great just physically. He is every bit a 5-star. He runs 10.7. He's exactly what you want from an athletic standpoint. Very productive and tough player as well. So he's a 5-star player. He's what you want. He was on campus. Ton of other guys that we've had before, but I want to focus on some maybe newer names that either we've talked about a little or just really haven't dwelled on this show, starting with Tommy Tofi from San Francisco. This guy's dad played in Europe in basketball. There you see the family. I was wondering who this guy was because he wasn't as big as Joel Ervin, but he was one of the bigger guys out there. Then confirmed later, this is Tommy Tofi, 4-star player from San Francisco. Like I said, his dad, who's a big guy, as you could see, played basketball at UTEP and overseas, was a good basketball player. Tofi is a 2-sport athlete, plays basketball, also plays football, projects as a football player, but has that athleticism. He was there with the Mauanoa family. He was taking pictures with Francis Kenyai Pepe was also there. Again, another big Polynesian player from IMG, who we'll get to in a second. S.J. Alafatuli and Francis Mauanoa, two of the bigger name offensive line recruits we've signed, both of them on the roster right now. Francis Mauanoa about to be a top 15, top 10 type pick next year in the draft. So a lot of pieces in place to make this young man comfortable. Also, KK Masipeka, I'm saying that right. I actually met him this weekend. The member of the recruiting department, originally at Hawaii, stud Polynesian athlete in his day, rugby and football. He's involved in this recruitment as well. So you see some pictures here from the trip. This is a guy who I think fits exactly what you're looking for between multi-sport, the size, the background, and he's very, very mean on his huddle tape. So someone Miami's made a move with. There you see him with S.J. Alafatuli. Makes SJ look small. SJ is a center, so this is a guy's a tackle, so that's why they're a little different in size. But you want to keep adding these guys. And when you look at the dimensions, we just talked about Joel Ervin. See, it's funny. This guy's listed at 6'7", 330. Joel Ervin's listed at 6'6", 280, but Ervin's actually bigger than this guy. But they're both complete giants. And you see the finishing ability right here.
What is it about San Francisco, man? The Bay Area with the football fields and the baseball fields on them, like the A's.
Good question. I don't know if they have a space. San Francisco land's pretty expensive these days. So, I don't know if they could just afford to have a ton of space like we have here in Florida. So maybe that's what it is. By the way, Pete, the A's play in Oakland, my friend.
Well, Bay Area. It's the Bay Area, though, is it not?
Yeah, they got the Giants are the San Francisco team. They got their own team.
Yeah, listen, I'm sure people will get on me in the comments, but the Bay Area is the Bay Area to me.
I know you're a fan. You're a fan of Bay Area rap, right? E40 and all that.
I don't know who that is.
Too Short.
I don't know who that is.
You know what Too Short is?
Mm-mm.
From Oakland? You don't know Too Short?
Mm-mm.
Blow the Whistle? You never heard that at any sporting events?
I mean, I'm sure if I heard the song, I would recognize it, but I don't have that on my playlist. No.
Shit, it's a classic. I mean, it's like jock jams at this point. They play at every sporting event. Anyways, looking at Tommy Tofi, you see the ability as far as he's got just a nice fluid movement in his pass sets.
Huge, man. Huge.
He's huge. He's a basketball player. So we don't usually talk about these Polynesian kids as multi-sport kids because they're so focused on football. Maybe they'll throw and track or something. But this is a true multi-sport athlete who has all the traits to be. I heard him project as a guard. I mean, honestly, to me, he looks pretty good at tackle. I don't see him necessarily as a non-tackle. Just seeing him move. This guy, there's been big guys that have been projected as tackles. Thinking of the guy, the first rounder for New Orleans last year, who's from Oregon State. His name escapes me. Pete, you might know who I'm talking about.
I know who you're talking about. His name escapes me as well.
I think he was projected as a guard and ended up being a tackle. So Tommy Tofi, look, Miami's recruiting a lot of guys that are tackles. Better to get a lot of guys that can play tackle and then head guards out of that mix as opposed to the other way around. But I think this guy, even though everybody says he's a guard, when I watch him and knowing the basketball background, I'm not throwing the towel in on him as a potential tackle, but a big time player, 4-star player. Loved his visit to Miami this weekend. I think we're right in the mix there.
Looks good.
These nuts says Pete is way too young. You will fart. Hassan Chieb saying, hey, D-Money and Pete, Gabby predicted that Cantwell and Cooper signed with Miami and some other recruits. By the way, hit the like button. Yes, please like and subscribe So talking about Cantwell and Cooper, we've been talking about Cantwell. This is Jackson Cantwell, number 1 player in the country from Nixon, Missouri. Pete, how many times have we talked about Cantwell? We'll have an interview.
Going back to last season even.
Yeah, we'll have an interview with him coming up. I think Miami's in a very, very good place with Jackson Cantwell. It's a big-time battle. You got Oregon. You got Georgia. I'm sure Missouri, where he's from, is going to make their case before it's all said and done. But I think there's a lot of momentum with Cantwell. I think he likes South Florida. He's visited a ton of times. His family likes it here. They visited. His dad and his mom both visited. The last unofficial, his mom visited before. Perfect weather, by the way, when they were here. And then the fact that Miami has developed offensive alignment to such a high level where John Rivers will get drafted this year. Penei Sewell, we know all about all the Oregon guys. Francis Mauigoa projected to be a top 10 pick next year, started as a true freshman with a similar kind of pedigree to Cantwell. I think all these things on top of the relationship between Coach Mirabal, Coach Cristobal, Pete, your boy Jersey Dan, really doing a lot of good things in that offensive line room.
Yeah, I was gonna bring something up there with the Joel Ervin commitment, and Gabby Urruti had a tweet. Let me try to bring it up where he was shouting out Danny Hajar, who's a staffer on the O-line side. And we always hear over the years, like young staffers coming up, guys who are making impacts in the recruiting room. And look, obviously Coach Mirabal and Crystal have their track record, but this guy, Danny Hajar, is someone that you're hearing a lot of recently here in Irvin recruitment. From what I've heard, was a big part of it, as Gabby mentioned himself. Was basically a student assistant last year while he was in school, and has been elevated to a full-time staffer now. And I mean, look, I think when you see these big-time O-linemen on campus, he's always right there with them. So I think he's someone to watch in this coaching ranks, moving up here in the next couple of years.
Yeah, and I think this is going to be the best offensive line class we've ever signed. So we'll see if that comes to pass, but certainly a lot of folks deserve credit. Not just Coach Cristobal and Mirabal, of course, deserve a ton, not just the whole recruiting department, but guys like our boy Jersey Dan. So
here's Gabby's tweet about it. So he said played a major role in Miami's acquisition of Joel Ervin. Hajar, who was recently promoted to an analyst, is one of the key staffers who helped the Canes get this done.
Yeah, man. So we'll see how this thing keeps rolling. But yeah, I like what I'm seeing with this offensive line class. Like what I saw. We'll just stay at the offensive line, Pete. We'll skip ahead a little bit, but two guys that caught my attention just from a physical standpoint. Because again, I've been going out to practice aside from the 2 days I was in Colorado, pretty much every day. So you've seen a lot of recruits cycle through, and I'm a big believer in the eye test. When you talk about college to pro, right? NFL draft, the eye test is important, but you kind of know what these guys are. They've been measured so many times. They're playing against comparable competition. High school, a guy like Irvin, he's listed as 6'6", 280, but he's really 330 and a good looking 330. You got to see these guys sometimes. There's so much variance in how it's reported, the size of the guys they're going against. The film doesn't even tell you the story. You got to see these guys in person, and especially when they're with other big recruits or your own players, you can really stack up what they look like. So I'm a big believer in the eye test on these unofficial visits. These two guys right here from IMG definitely passed the eye test, both of them. And that is Kinyai Pepe, the 5-star player from IMG, offensive tackle. And then Brett Colajay, originally from Colorado, who is an interior lineman, also from IMG. So two teammates came down together. And Miami's recruited these guys forever. They've been on these guys. I think Pepe, they started recruiting him when he was in 8th grade. Colajay, since he's been at IMG, they've been all over him. So these guys are no strangers to the board. We've talked about him here. We've talked about him on CanesInsight.com. So sign up for free, 7 million posts and counting. So we've talked about these guys, but now having seen them as seniors, they both really, really looked good physically. Kinyai Pepe, my concern with him was was not his height or his lower body strength, but really more his upper body, because Francis Mauigoa was very strong up top. So he was able to have that power from both, his legs and also his upper body. Pepe was always kind of a long, slender type of dude with big legs. You knew he'd get strong eventually. He looks way different than the last time I saw him. I think he's going to be ready to play year one as an offensive tackle. Very well coached, polished player at IMG. Looked good in the Under Armour game as well. Very polished. But I think just size-wise, I see a jump with him. And then Colajay, he is not like one of these like 6'3" guards that's just like a phone booth guy. This guy is tall. He is strong. He's got like he's just a big dude, man. He's got like big head. You know, he's one of those big. He just looks big,
big boned, right?
Big boned individual, looks ready to knock some people around. So both of those guys, to me, check mark next to their name on the look test. They've been down here a bunch. They are continuing to come down. IMG has a great relationship with Miami. We talk about Francis Maunoa. It's going to help with all these guys, particularly Polynesian guys like Pepe. We're watching Collegier here, though, on the film at left guard. I mean, you see the nasty, man. This guy, he's already used to playing next to Pepe because he's the left guard. Pepe's the left tackle. I even posted a picture or something like, hey, this is really a good-looking offensive line for the Miami Hurricanes. So you see that this guy just, man, he is just a natural bully. Got a lot of big schools on him. Colorado, where he's from, is on him. But I think he's somebody who Miami's always valued very high. Listed as a 3-star, I believe. No, not a 3-star.
On the composite, he's a 4-star.
4 on the composite, 247. I look at their rankings very highly. I think they do a good job, but their whoever's doing their offensive line evaluations this year is out to lunch, because I've just seen guys on campus at Miami that are 3-stars that are they're just not 3-stars. They're 4-star, 5-star.
And now that you're on the rankings thing, and this is a different site, but Canes Cat C305s, wow, look at that. Look at him get out and pull there.
Yeah.
Canes Cat C305 is asking why Pepe has dropped on 3.
No clue. I mean, he's a 5-star on 247. The guy, when you see him in person, I heard he weighed in at 320 at the combine, because IMG has their own combine, because they're just a different kind of program in that way. So I think he measured it at 6'6", 325. So the size is there. He's a good looking 325. He's not overweight at all. In fact, he probably has room to grow, and he played good in the Under Armour game. So unless he tested really bad, I don't see why he would have dropped. But 247 was there at the combine, and they raised him up. So I can't explain that one to you there, Canes Cat. I wouldn't read too much into it. He
says it's a scary drop, truthfully.
Yeah, I mean,
look, we've seen on 3 does interesting things sometimes for clicks purposes.
And look, you like him sometimes. I mean, they like Miami's quarterbacks more than 247. They had Josh Moore as a top 50 player in the country. So, I mean, they like guys that, Miami gets. It's not just to bag on 3. And sometimes Miami players aren't that good. So, you don't have to, just because a site likes Miami players doesn't mean they're right. Yeah, offensive line wise, to me, Miami's had the best offensive lineman in the country on campus this summer. Will they sign them all? We'll see. But this has been a pretty good representation of the top offensive linemen in the country. 850 Can appreciate you, all your support, all your good questions. Again, thanks. Thank you for that support.
I just noticed his avatar picture there. It's when ESPN had Florida State not being selected for the playoff.
I love it.
Years ago.
Love it. Well, they don't have to worry about that graphic anytime soon. I don't think they're going to be in the position to worry.
We got a question here produced by Pac TV asking any other quarterback recruits in the pipeline. Obviously, Darion Coleman committed right now and has had a strong offseason in terms of the camp circuit. But anything else there?
Yeah, so Coleman's committed, like you mentioned, playing very well. He's a composite 4-star. 247 has him as a 3-star. Very similar to Luke Nickel, just in terms of the way he's being treated. Guy's been very productive on the field. Went to the state championship last year. Put up big numbers. I think he's someone that the evaluation keeps changing. Same as Luke Nickel. They're physically changing as they get older. I think with Nickel, by the time he was a 4-star at the very end, because not only was the production so consistent, lead 11 on the field, 7-on-7, but he was also just getting bigger and more athletic. I think with Coleman, he was very much, still is to a degree, built like a Bryce Young. It's just a small, slight guy with big hands, but he's starting to get a little bigger. You see, just height-wise, strength-wise, he's going in the right direction. His dad is 6'3", so I think he, by when it's all said and done, might just have average size. And if he has average size with his arm strength being, plus, and then the fact he's a pretty good athlete and he's a very productive playmaker, I think he will be a very, very good-looking prospect. 27, we mentioned names to watch out for. Peyton Houston from Shreveport, Alabama. Trent Seaborn from, I believe, Birmingham, Alabama. So Louisiana and Alabama, 2 Southern quarterbacks in Miami is in on for the class of 2027. 2028, Neiman Lawrence originally from Ransom Everglades, now is transferred to Northwestern, maybe the top player in the country that year. Miami's going to be recruiting him hard for the next 3 years, and he's already been on campus a bunch. Miami's offered super early. I think they were the first offer, close to it. So
when he was like in the 8th grade, right?
yeah, so no secrets there with Lawrence, but I think they'd like to get one of those two for now. We don't know what names come on the board, but maybe Seaborn or Houston next year, then Lawrence the year after that. Coleman, of course, already committed. Luke Nickel already playing in the scrimmage, which is a nice transition to the scrimmage there, Pete. So before we talk about the scrimmage, I want to talk about.
So it was a scrimmage.
Oh, I keep calling it a scrimmage. It was not a scrimmage. They had team play, but it was a normal practice with
Controlled
an
environment.
Yeah, they weren't
situational.
They weren't tackling to the ground. We're talking situational. Situations might be you're having a birthday party for your kids. Situation might be you don't feel like cooking. Situation might be you're in transit from the south to the north to south, east, west. You're on the metro, or you're just driving and you're hungry for lunch. You want to pick something up to go. Maybe you want to sit down with a client. All these situations, the spot to go, Dayland Dining Pavilion, Islas Canarias, the #1 Cuban restaurant on the planet, 40 years running, full menu available. Look at that right there at Islas Canarias Express, all kinds of things, the classics, your Cuban sandwiches, all kinds of pork dishes, everything you could want from a traditional standpoint. But then you also have new Americanized twist on items, on the go specialties to make sure you get your Cuban food on the go without spilling it everywhere. If you are on the move and want to take something with you on the train or something like that, with the cubaritos, all kinds of empanadas. They got pastries for your sweet tooth. And then, of course, the different types of croquetas, 7 in total, all available at Islas Canarias Express, the absolute best in the business when it comes to Cuban food. So going back to the scrimmage here, I call it a scrimmage again. It was supposed to be a scrimmage. Ultimately, what they ended up doing was doing just kind of your normal practice, extended team period. I would distinguish it because you had, scrimmage, you really have situational drills and then the actual scrimmage, and they tackle to the ground. Maybe you stop tackling to the ground at a certain point in the scrimmage, but usually you're tackling to the ground. That's not taking place yet. So I would say there's been no scrimmage, but there was an extended team portion on Saturday. Ton of people in attendance, ton of coaches, ton of fans, boosters. It was a ton of dudes out there. Met a lot of people. Shout out to everybody that was at the practice on Saturday. I would say things that stand out, and these are things that are just consistent things I've seen multiple days, right? So this sounds like I'm repeating myself, but I'm just focusing on things that are consistent. The running game remains very strong. Offensive line, very good. Mark Fletcher, Jordan Lyle, able to run through holes. Feel great about that whole setup. You saw it on the field last year. You bring most people back. You lose a Jalen Rivers. You lose a Damian Martinez. That certainly hurts. I think overall, that running game should be one of the best, if not the best, in the ACC and one of the best in the entire nation. Feel very good about that position. Other thing I feel good about, I've talked about this a lot, the young receivers. Dalen Upshaw continues to make plays against first, second team defensive backs, not walk-ons. He's beating real players that are going to play for us this year. Malachi Toney, you've heard the hype on him, returning punts, playing slot, just very instinctual, very savvy, able to find his way to open space. And then Josh Moore, the big guy, the spectacular catches, the contested catches. He's been doing that at a pretty high level. Xavier Lucas, we knew he was a good player. To me, I would say if he's not a first round or second round pick in the NFL draft, something went wrong. Because with his size and speed, teams are going to be dying to pick him that high, and he's just a good player. He's able to use those tools on the field. At least he has in practice. At least he did as a freshman for Wisconsin. So again, 6'2", 200 pounds, looks right when you see him in person. It's not just on paper. And then the 4.3 speed. So this guy's an exceptional player. I think we're talking, if you're looking if you're watching the draft process, who's our next first rounder? Who's our next big time player? I think you put Xavier Lucas in that boat with Mauanoa, Ruben Bain, some other guys, maybe Markel Bell as he keeps elevating. Put Xavier Lucas in that category. First round type pick, talent wise. Some other things caught my attention. I would say Luke Nickel, he's been playing with the third team, playing with the walk-on, so you haven't been able to see the full extent of his skills, I think, to this point. But now you're starting to see it a little bit more. He's loosening up. He's such a quick processor. He's not going to wow you by just looking at him. He's not Cam Newton, right, or Josh Allen that you see him walk on the field and you say, okay, that makes sense. he's going to make his plays in games. He's going to be a quick reader of the field. Sometimes that'll lead to interceptions, especially as he adjusts to the college game, adjusts to throwing to receivers that maybe aren't as good as what he had in high school. At least when you talk about the third team here. But as he gets more reps with the second, more reps with the first, more reps in general, obviously gets into games where they can hit him. I think you're going to continue to see Luke Nickel be a quick processor and a really good player for the Miami Hurricanes. So those are some of my big takeaways, I would say, from this weekend's practice, Pete.
Let's see here. Hassan says Hayden Lowe's a beast, which is those when you see him in person, that's pretty much the best way to describe him.
Yeah, no, he's a beast. Armando Blunt, another one that's a beast. Those two in general, I think, are just kind of 5-star. They're 5 stars, but they look like 5 stars. They compete hard. They're mentally good, which is what you want with a 5-star player. You don't want to get a 5-star player that you're worried about in between the years. Those two guys are not people you worry about. They compete hard. They're explosive, and they're very much in the mold of what Miami wants from its field defensive end and Heatherman's defense. That means that, you got the hash marks if you have more grass on your side, you're the field defensive end, and that's what you want on that position in Heatherman's defense. More length, more size, more ability to hold up. And that's what I think Lowe and Blunt, even though they're great athletes, even though they could rush the passer, they're 250, 260 plus. So I think they fit much better there.
Yeah, and when you just talked about the competitiveness with Lowe, I heard that like in workouts, in spring workouts, January workouts, he was one of the most competitive guys out there as well. Question here, New King God asking, is the hype on Judd legit? Look, obviously, D, I'm sure you'll have your own thoughts on this. I think when you hear about the progression of Judd Anderson this spring, it's what we've always said from the beginning with Judd is, was he going to be the guy right away? No. Was he going to be the guy year 2 right here? I don't know that right now he's the guy that's ready to be a starter, but is he coming along with those big physical tools that we've spoken about before? I think there's some progress being made there. Again, is he a guy that right now, if the worst case scenario happened in Carson Beck not being ready to play, which we're not suggesting we've heard anything near that. This is just in a hypothetical situation. I don't know that he's still ready to be the guy, but he's an exciting player when you see some of the stuff that pops out. The consistency, I don't think, is there with any of these guys right now. But I think the excitement might be the most with him right now.
He's got the best size and athleticism, got a good arm, clean release. I think he's progressing in the right direction. He's, like you said, Pete, you said it well. He improved a lot. Do I want to see him against Notre Dame right now based on what he is currently? No, but you like the trajectory that he has shown. You comment from John Z. David Lake says he doesn't see Luke Nickel or any backup ever being a starter in Miami. Thoughts? Lake's the man. We talk to him every day. I think some things he said got maybe taken out of proportion by others. There's no way that anybody has that kind of opinion of Luke Nickel watching the full practices, because number one, first of all, it's early period. Number two, you're not always watching the full practices, so you don't get the full sense of what he can do. Number three, he's been playing with the walk-ons and the third teamers. So you really don't have a sense what he can do, because he's not going to wow you just on his individual traits. He's going to wow you with how he runs an offense in the real world of football, like in games. So, I think Lake, I'll ask him, but I'm pretty sure he probably will tell you some of the stuff he said maybe got taken out of proportion. There's no way that evaluation could be made right now, is what I'll say, just because of what situation Nickel's been in, some of the viewing opportunities and things like that. So with Emery and Judd, I don't feel great about either of them being the starting quarterback in Miami right now. They'd have to change. Nickel, I put a big incomplete grade, which is really, by the way, on all the guys. But I think Nickel particularly has an incomplete grade.
Nick Isaac said there's a rumor that Beck could be throwing within the next 2 weeks. Any truth to that? Look, we're not going to speculate on the timeline, but Mario has said from the beginning that by late spring, early summer, that's when they expect him to be able to be throwing. Now, is it going to be with the team? I don't expect that to be the case just yet, but I expect it to be getting there very, very soon. That's what the timeline in the beginning was. So I don't think we've heard anything that suggests otherwise.
Yeah. And by the way, we love Canes Cats Heat 305. But this is a topic on my brain. I actually just made a big post about this on Canes Insight. So I wanted to get into this. He's saying we need to start spending money on high school quarterbacks and stop taking 3-star projects. I could not disagree more with this. This is just completely opposite of what I think we should be doing. So high school quarterbacks are the biggest waste of money, especially now you have salary cap. High school quarterbacks are the biggest waste of money in college football. Anyone who spends money on high school quarterback, unless it's like an Arch Manning or someone, to me, or Trevor Lawrence, is completely insane. Go look. So I again, this is fresh in my brain. I just made a post on CanesInsight.com. If you haven't signed up yet, 7 million posts and counting. Sign up for free. The best Canes discussion. This will carry you through the whole offseason on top of giving you all the recruiting news and just, the best user generated and writer generated content. But look at this. So my view has been high school quarterbacks are the biggest waste of money in the world because they haven't played. Half of them bust. Most of them bust, quite frankly. And then the portal exists, and you can see what a guy looks like and get him from the portal. So you can either get a ready-made guy like Becker Ward, or you can get a guy that's played that maybe hasn't reached their ceiling like Jaden Daniels or Bo Nix. So to me, it makes zero sense to get a high school quarterback. So he says that's when you spend on a Diabell type. Here, Canes Cat. I'll give you the stats. You tell me if I'm wrong. Top 5 quarterbacks in this draft. Pete, tell me if I'm missing a name here. Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders, Jackson Dart, Tyler Shuck, Quinn Ewers. Anyone you want to add to that list? I think that's a pretty good 5. None of them were high school signees. 0. They were all 5 of those guys were from the portal. Last year, 4 of the top 6. Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Rookie of the Year, Michael Penix, Bo Nix, who was second in Rookie of the Year, all from the portal. Go to the NFL. To me, the elite quarterbacks, and Pete, correct me if I'm missing anybody, the elite quarterbacks are either 3-star or 2-star nobodies or portal guys. Let's go through the list. Lamar Jackson, 3-star. Josh Allen, 0-star. Mahomes, 3-star. Justin Herbert, 3-star. Jordan Love, 0-star. Dak Prescott, 0-star, 2-star, maybe a 3-star. Okay. The rest from the portal. Jaden Daniels, you throw Bo Nix in there if you want. Joe Burrow, Jalen Hurts. I think I've pretty much named all the best quarterbacks in the NFL. Maybe talk about a CJ Stroud. Maybe talk about it, a Jared Goff, who's a 4-star, not really the highest of the 5 stars. But, I mean, did I miss anybody? Are those the best players in the NFL? So the idea of signing a very high-priced high school quarterback and then keeping him for 3 to 4 years and him working out for you is extremely rare. Now, look, you might see some of it this year. There's some high school guys, the Drew Allers of the World K Club. There's a couple guys. We'll see how they develop this year. I think in general, it makes 0 sense to spend on high school quarterbacks. They bust at an extraordinarily high rate. They cost way too much money to sit on the bench. Spend that money on the portal, on proven commodities. And then in high school, my opinion is you get guys with tremendous traits that can develop, like, maybe like Pat Mahomes, who plays a lot of sports, or a Josh Allen, who's just a monster. Now, look, that's easy to say in retrospect, knowing how those guys turned out. I'm not saying you're going to 3 stars are 3 stars for a reason. They don't all become Josh Allen or Pat Mahomes or Lamar Jackson, but at least from a process standpoint, get cheap guys with traits that if they hit, they're going to hit big in your system with your good offensive line. And then if they don't work out, you let them go. And then for the sure things, for the high floor, get guys in the portal. That's sort of my view of the whole situation. When you look at high school, college, portal, this is the way, to me, you get the most out of your buck for quarterbacks. Spend the money on 5-star defensive tackles, 5-star defensive ends, 5-star corners. You need those guys getting through the building. And then obviously 5-star offensive linemen, which is what we were talking about for the beginning of the show. So we got a special guest here. Let me get my headphones on because we got our guy from Category 6 Sports. You've seen his podcast. You've seen him on Twitter. You've seen him on YouTube. You've seen him on the Twitter Spaces. We've had him on the show before as well. Friend of ours and just a very, very knowledgeable and entertaining Miami personality. Our guy, 50. 50, what's going on?
Oh, I don't hear him right now. Do you hear him, D?
No, let's get him set up. 50, let's go. Maybe it's our maybe
There,
it's their
No,
headphones.
you
there
can
it
hear
is.
me?
Got him?
No, there we
There
hear
we
you
go.
now. Yep.
What's good? What's good, y'all?
What's going
boy?
on, 50? How you doing, man?
I'm all right. I'm all right. Happy to be here. What's going on? We got a big commitment. Had a, you know what I'm saying? Big practice, all that. Oh yeah, I see that. I see them seal one, produced by Pat Christopher. Salute. Thank y'all. You know. And hey, we just dropped the website, so hey, we doing things right now. We trying to get the ball rolling.
Yeah. No, we're going to talk about that one right here in a second. But first, talking about the commitment, Joel Ervin. What are you seeing with him? What did the people you talk to? What are what are the spaces saying? What are people saying about Joel Ervin here? Starting with kind of your perspective on the whole thing.
Okay, I'm gonna get the negatives out the way. They just talk about 3-star, but that's people who don't really watch, you know what I'm saying, the huddle or really just check what's going on. But like that's elite size. It's criminal. He criminally underrated because he shouldn't be a 3-star. And that's one of the ones like Mirabal Cristobal gonna have fun with because this is like the type of player that they like to build and mold. So from what I'm hearing, people love it like the ball knowers. I ain't talking about the non-ball knowers. Non-ball knowers, they go to hell. I don't give a damn. But like the ball knowers, they know what they talk about because like this the same fan base that look at talking about surveillance. But nah, it just crazy because like I said, this a big body. Like when I saw that he was like 6'6", 3'4", I'm like, how is he a 3-star? Like, but then I started thinking about the politics and how they do the camps and all that. So yeah, I feel we just got to steal. And
yeah.
And like this don't stop us with Pepe and Cantwell, so we good. Like we just stacking chips.
Yeah, if anything, when you get a guy who's a 5-star player internally, which I can tell you that's what it is, and it's not a 5-star bidding war,
right?
It helps you with the 5 stars because, if you're overpaying for dudes, that's going to take money away from your ability to get the guys that are worth the biggest bag. But when you're getting guys who, and look, he got you're not ripping this kid off, but it's not like it's not like you got a Alabama, Michigan, all these guys up on this kid already that they know about him. So, you're able to get a guy that you evaluated well, you treat him fair, you prioritize him, you respect him, you evaluate him correctly from the top. Now you bring him in the fold. I think it helps you with other players, quite frankly, because it allows you to build an offensive line that can be truly elite because your evaluation skills have found an elite guy that maybe other schools hadn't put in that category because really they hadn't seen him. They're not down here. There's no camps where they're measuring the kid and sending out the measurements to every school in America. So, he's someone that usually location helps you with other positions, not offensive line. But this year in Florida, man, with all the good guys here in Florida, location's actually helping us with the offensive line position, which is crazy because, how many offensive linemen from Florida getting drafted this year? Jalen Rivers and, I don't think there may be one more. I think there may be 2 guys getting drafted from Florida on the offensive line. Yeah. It's not traditionally a spot that we produce guys, but a little different this year.
Yeah. And I heard talk about the Tommy Toffee kid, like Toffee. And I was looking at him, I'm like, hey, he making people look small. We need that right now. It's kind of funny because somebody out of my DMs telling me about him, and I went to look him up, and I'm like, oh no, we need that. Like, that's your family. Bring them down. like, yeah, we need that because that's a big kid. So, yeah.
And the way he was moving, man, like we were watching, and D, you mentioned his basketball background, but like someone who is built like that, all you gotta do is keep the man in front of you, right? You're not gonna be able to run around the guy, right? Especially with his feet. So you've got a lot to work with there if you're Mirabal and Cristobal. Once again, we've seen them do more with less, right? So it's exciting to think, which is what it's been already built to this point, right? But you're losing, and that's what we keep seeing in the comments a lot when it comes to recruiting is, man, how many O-linemen are they going to take? But you're losing 4 starters, and then you have guys there now that, just knowing what the game is, are probably not going to be there a year from now at this point, and may not be factors. So you're already losing 4. Pretty much might have to replace 5 or 6. Yeah. So yeah, you're gonna have a big offensive line class here, on top of what you expect them to probably do in the portal.
Right. Right. And the funny thing about the Toffee kid, like when he was telling me about him, he also said he got some brothers. So I'm like, yeah, bring them on now. I'm
I,
like, yeah,
we need the whole bloodline. To me, it's like you
yeah.
got 105 scholarships now. We should
Mhm.
that whatever the last how many additional is that? It's 86 to 105. Pete,
Yeah.
you're good at math.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what, 19? So I would use those. I would use maybe those 19 spots as possible on rugby players. Cousins that maybe they're a safety that can't cover, but they can go on special teams and bust heads. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Just bring in the whole crew. Let them go to college for free. Let them
Yeah.
build a community down here and
Yeah.
add to the culture, man, and make sure we're a physical, violent football team, man. Bring the whole bloodline in. That's what I'm saying. Because then they have cousins. Then one of the cousins pops out 6'7",
Right.
and then you're in business. So that to me is
Look at this. You got
good
Oregon
use.
fans in his comments, though, saying duck lock. So I don't know.
Yeah, we gotta stop that. I ain't trying to hear that. Need to be cane locked. Jack Jean, what's good, my boy?
Yeah, man, you got a fan base right here, 50. And while you're talking to your people, tell us about Category 6 playbook and some of the things that you guys are doing. We already watched the podcast. I've been on there before. That's my Friday driving podcast. I know you're on multiple days a week, but
Right.
but tell us about Category 6 playbook in general.
Like you got the playbook hub, we got the merch, we got the all 22. You become a member and all that. You get the all 22 where it got film breakdown from George Cam Ward to like the defense, all that. So you see those things there. We even got like sports picks on there too. Like, so yeah, we building, like real deal building, and we just gonna keep adding more to it. Cause it's a lot like we got going on. We even got a little message board on there. So yeah, we doing big things. We're doing big things.
Now talk about a little bit about the playbook, the all 22 part for those who hear all 22. What does that mean?
Oh, the all 22, you get to see the plays from all angles. You get to see some you can't just watch a certain, like you just watch a certain old lineman or a cornerback. You get to see, like, that's how I was seeing Xavier Lucas and things like that, like right here. Like, you get to see it.
This is a coach's film right here, man.
This is a sample, right? So, and then you have coaches breaking it down. I know Coach Jay. I saw him at practice on Saturday.
Yeah, right.
So I know you guys are plugged in as anybody. So
Right.
we know we remember this play right here, but we remember the highlight reel. So some of the things you guys are doing are taking a lot of plays, not just this one, but many plays, and breaking down how they happen, what we can take from them, especially from a player evaluation standpoint, technique wise. I've seen some of the clips where breaking down, where a cornerback's feet are, things like that, to really bring a coach's perspective on how these highlights come to be and how some of the big schematic things that we always talk about on the spaces and on the boards and on the shows, what they're really about.
Yeah, because it's crazy to decide that highlight is a crazy highlight, but Rodriguez get beat on that play, as you can see. But Cam Ward makes a move, throws a dime. So yeah, you just see it all. You just see it all. You break it all down like hell. When Xavier Lucas hopped in the portal, I understood completely why they was crying. Because when you look at the film, you like, oh my, okay, okay, they don't want,
especially at a position like corner where, like, you can't really always see everything from the TV film. That was as an agent, that was always something that was hard. Like, that was a hard position to like really get good film on a guy, because if they're locking up their side of the field, they're not gonna get their name called. They're not throwing their way, so you're not gonna always see them. So yeah, I can see that for sure with Lucas.
And when it's kind of crazy, because when I look at the addition of Lucas, I'm like, oh, this is like, not to be on no comparison time, but you see how Ohio State added Caleb Downs and how he changed their defense. I see Xavier Lucas with that type of impact just off of what we already seeing and hearing from practice. So yeah, like, he bringing it. Then you got Charles Brantley bringing it. Like, yeah, it's a whole makeover. That's another guy. He probably looked like he 150, but he played like he 200 pounds.
Yeah, I mean, listen, from what I've seen in the media part of practice, like, yeah, you're gonna understand that he's not gonna be the most physical corner, but he stays in that hip pocket of the receiver. So I think there's going to be a real value to having him in the slot, matching up with a lot of these guys, because it's such a specialized position now. It's not just any corner can play it, and I think he's uniquely kind of built for that with all the experience he has. It seems like he's healthy. So yeah, I'm not saying this is a future first round pick or anything like that. That's what we're saying about Xavier Lucas, I think. But I think Brantley could be a real valuable part of this defense this year, and I don't want people to forget about him.
Yeah, real feisty, as they like to say about him. Like he just bringing it. They were talking about how he talking trash. I heard Ray talk about how he just talking trash to him, and he love it. He just bringing that. He just brings it. So I'm love what I said. Hopefully, because you see they cross training Ewald, so it's like, okay, if they cross training Ewald with Nichols and safety, all that, maybe he can learn from Brantley and Poyser and all those guys. So
yeah, I think nickel more for Ewald. I've seen him, because the safeties and the nickels work out together. So I know I've seen people who've been to practice or seen clips of practice, and they say, is Ewald working at safety? But it's actually the nickels and the safeties, they do certain drills together. So I think Ewald more on the nickel side, Brantley outside and nickel. I think, like, I agree with you. I think nickel is kind of where he shines, because outside, even though he's played that at the Big Ten level, there's certain matchups. You saw Syracuse last year. I wouldn't want to just put Brantley into that game. That's not.
And it's not just matchups. You don't want him to have to be physical on the perimeter. You want to try to limit that as much as possible, and shine his skill set, which should be in coverage.
Right.
What else? So what else you talking about, 50? I know you're talking between Category 6 playbook, between the spaces, between the show. I know you got a lot you've been talking about. So what's been the main? You got a good finger of the pulse of the community. What's like the main topic people are fired up about, or you guys are fired up about, that's getting people talking?
Well, that's getting people talking. Well, really, it just really, like, right now, people are talking about what they believe, like, with the linebackers. Like, everybody wants to know about the linebackers. And as you can tell, like Saturday, they had a good practice. So if they can just continue to improve on that, we could be good. But also, like, what we gonna add in the portal, in the spring portal. So it's like that's been the talk of the town. And then they want to, recruit. They always want to know about recruiting. Yeah.
Linebacker's tough, man, because linebacker is one of those positions that until they're really popping and they're really tackling, it's very difficult for me to say what we've got. I think we've all said from the beginning you expected them to add one in the portal. The body types have all improved and gotten better. I think we can all agree on that. But until those lights come on, it's such a physical position, the nature of it, that they look pretty and they're moving around good, but it's a different scheme. We understand the new coach is the linebacker, the new D coordinator is the linebackers coach as well. So they're going to be asked to be doing certain things, but I think we can still expect them to try to pick someone else up in
yeah, definitely. I definitely see, like, whoever started level, like, I feel like whatever the best hop in there, we getting. Like, we getting. Whatever the best hop in there, we getting.
Yeah, that's where I'd spend my money as far as portal wise, is number one receiver. And then just, whether it's a linebacker or safety, I just think we need somebody to set the tone. You've seen guys, and it happens, you usually kind of know pretty early. Not always, but usually know pretty early, whether it's linebacker or safety. Maybe they're not the best cover guys, but they're always around the football. They're always popping people. They're always bringing energy. They're the ones jumping up after the play, but also playing through the whistle as well, not just dancing after the play. I don't know if we have guys that bring that consistently to where I think this defense needs to be. I think we've improved the size of the defensive line. I think we improved the size and talent of the defensive backfield as well. I think we have good talents at linebacker too. But man, I want to see some guy, whether it was like Shaq or Jaquan Johnson. Those are the two examples I always use, because look, I'd rather have a Perriman or a Spence or even a Colin McCarthy, right? Or Jonathan Vilma. At the highest level, Ray Lewis, obviously, Sean Taylor, that'd be nice. But I'm not even saying that. Like, it could be a day 3 pick. We just need somebody that, when I see the football, I see this number around that football consistently, and it brings a certain tone to the defense.
Yeah, I like that you said Jaquan Johnson, because he was really like that Shaq Quarterman. He would hit you. Perriman, man. Yeah, we need something like that. Like, when you think of linebacker, we need them hitters. Like, we got to set the tone, like you said. Like we need tone setters.
Well, what did Mario say when he got hired? More knockback, right? He wanted more knockback, and I think that we're still searching for it, right?
Yeah.
We haven't seen it consistently here. So
Yeah.
I think you got that knockback on the offensive line. That mentality has been definitely put into place. But you want to see it on that defensive side, which I can't say it's not a concern that we still don't feel that way at this point. Obviously, new coordinator and all that. So like, I'm not. let me not say anything too crazy here. But you're still searching for it. And I think there could be some guys who can step up into those roles. But until we see it, we've over the years made too many proclamations based on green tree stuff, and we can always say who looks good and who doesn't. But I think that's a little bit of a concern, I would say.
Yeah, definitely a little bit of concern. And I'm looking at what had him in recruiting that linebacker, and I'm like, okay, I see what he want. He want that athleticism. He looking at the traits and things like that. Like, I'm kind of glad that we kind of got back in there with Malik Morris, because that's like one of those guys that will set the tone if he was on this team. So,
and by the way, I will say, like, I'm excited about Popo in particular, just because I think he was coming along last year before he got nicked up, and like he had some impactful moments, and I think he does have some of that knockback. I think he's got some of that juice. So I'm excited about him. I'm excited about some of these young guys we saw last year, but we'll see what happens, man.
Yeah, it's never enough talent. So if they hop in there, you just gotta bring it. I mean, look. Matter of fact, just look at how Ray was talking about how he loved Malachi was pushing. Like, he used to that because where we from, South Florida, the crib, basically. So you used to that competition, and I love that we bringing that back. Like, competition is up. Like, it's really up, and you just see people bringing their A game in practice. Like, and you got to, because if you don't, the coach is gonna let you know. There's no sugarcoating. So yeah,
we need one of those guys in the linebacker at strong safety. But I'm just thinking about, as far as just, you mentioned the competition, practice, calling out the running backs. Like, that to me is just one piece. I think this team is very, very well built as far as a lot of good recruiting, a lot of pieces filled. But this is obviously the cherry on top. But this is like the last little piece you got to get. I think about Ohio State and looking at their guys, Cody Simon, Lathan Ransom. Those dudes, when you watch Ohio State, man, you saw those guys popping people. You saw them around the ball. You saw them really, and these are not the first rounders, but these are guys that are going to play in the NFL and that really brought a certain presence to that Ohio State defense. I mean, even like when we played Cal, that white guy, I saw that guy every single second.
Every time.
Where's our version of that? So I think that's something that that we need. All right, before we let you go, again, we talked about Category 6 playbook. A lot of stuff going on there, data-driven picks, community merchandise, obviously the all 22 exclusive breakdowns, which are a lot more in depth and long than what we showed you here in this little clip, free. But what else you got going on, 50? Talk to me. Give me something here.
Hey man, we just we got an episode today at 6, so make sure y'all tune in. And we also, like I said, you already said, data-driven picks, all that, and we just. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully we get y'all on the show. Hopefully I can get Peter Reeves on the show.
Let's do it, man. Whenever, man. Let me know.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, we got all that. We just got everything. Like for right now, it just like the show, what you talk about right here, and I pop in on spaces from time to time and all that. When they not toxic, because they can get toxic, people start. You know what I'm saying? Setting up phase, that's never gonna happen. So you just know how that go.
Yeah, no. we were talking about some of that off air, so it's funny you mentioned it. So but anyways, yeah, man. No, so check out the playbook again. I know these guys are plugged in. I was talking to Coach Jay on Saturday right there at that private practice. So these dudes are plugged in. If you guys don't know and you're here on the show, check them out. 50, man, always appreciate you. We'll get you on here probably next week or whatever, man. When you tell me when you got something to talk about, we'll get this thing rolling again. But
let me know, man. I'll join you guys whenever, man.
All right. Yeah, appreciate that. Yeah. Okay.
All right, man.
All right, man.
Go Cates.
Have a good one, 50.
Go.
All right, D.
Yeah, man. So, so we got the football taken care of. You got a basketball question, Pete. I don't know if you have an answer to that.
I did see it. Canes Cats Heat 305 asking about Mike Burgomaster. Is he an option on our coaching staff? And Mike Burgomaster is a guy that I've mentioned before. Full disclosure, I went to school with him at Miami. He was a grad assistant at Miami when Miami was doing their thing with Coach L, obviously in the heyday. And he was at Miami, ended up becoming a grad assistant at Auburn for Bruce Pearl, and he's now Auburn's offensive coordinator and pretty much like second or third in command under Bruce Pearl. So obviously, Auburn, we understand the resources that they put into their basketball program. They're in a great spot. I don't necessarily see why he would leave that situation, knowing his relationship with Coach Pearl. And I think his next job as a head coach. He's led one of the best offenses in the country. That the New York Times was doing an article on him earlier this year. So I think head coaching job would be his next move there for Big Burgo, as we call him.
Big Burgo. That's the inside info you get, brought to you by Aries Law.
Aries Law, PA, man. Yeah, and a bit of news to report. We broke the news this morning that Harun Zedno, the Bosnian Bulldog, as we call him here on Canes Insight Daily, he's going to be visiting Miami April 18th to 20th. So this is a former Indiana commit, 21 years old, Bosnian pro with 4 years of eligibility, big time shooter, 45+% from 3-point range. And so this is a guy that, again, was committed to Indiana. Maryland was another option for him, but now Kevin Willard's gone. So I'm looking at Miami as being in a very good situation. His agent based in Coral Gables here. So like Miami, in that situation with Harun Zedno, that would be a good pickup here, and would expect them to get some pieces here in the portal. I would say this week. We've already seen some stuff trickle in elsewhere. I know they've obviously, as we've seen, been working and reaching out to a lot of people. Jaleel Bethea is the one that I would really watch right now. Heard there was a very good chance he'd be coming back. This was last Thursday. But as I've said before, Miami wants him. Miami would like to have him back. I think there's a lot of interest from the player side, but Miami needs to replace. There needs to be 13 players essentially added to this team. You still have AJ State McRae has not entered the portal. Divine Ugochukwu has not entered the portal. So those guys are still there. We don't know if that's their final decision. But there's a lot of moving pieces here. And Miami's recruiting other guys at that same position that Jaleel Bethea would obviously play. So I would call it a bit of a musical chairs thing going on, right? You have your top targets, but if you're still kind of in limbo with certain guys, then you gotta start filling up the roster, right? So I would expect a Bethea decision to be made here in the next couple days, to 24 to 48 hours. We saw over the weekend he's down to 4 schools, Miami obviously being one of them. But yeah, a lot of interest from the player side in returning. So
yep. So stay tuned to Canes Insight. We got all kinds of stuff on basketball. Our boy Trenton Breeze, the deodorant. He's got, just on the front page alone, I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 basketball stories on the front page from the deodorant, Trenton Breeze, all for free, CanesInsight.com. He also made a nice post about Gerald Pringle buying his mom a dream car, Jaguar truck. So shout out to Miss Pringle with the new truck. Carl P. asking about what's the update on Javari Flowers. I'm digging right now for the latest info. I'm going to put out a bank most likely today for free on CanesInsight.com. So if you're not signed up, go to CanesInsight.com, sign up, and I'll get you that as soon as I can. We are ready to talk baseball, P. You got everything tuned up?
Yep.
All right, so Canes got heat. I know you've been waiting for this one, talking about baseball. First, a word for best friends that Canes baseball has.
Sala, Astorita & Cox is a boutique law firm focusing on securities regulatory matters, broker-dealer and investment advisor regulation, white-collar criminal defense, complex commercial litigation, and securities arbitration and litigation. The firm aggressively represents clients throughout the nation. Our lawyers have over 100 years of collective experience handling securities and white-collar criminal matters, including investigations, regulatory proceedings, and enforcement actions in federal, state.
Who's coming in the door?
We had a little issue there. Hold on a second. I have to bring that back up.
No worries.
Hold on a second. We are off screen right now, so I need to bring us back. Oh, there
What's
we
up,
go.
Pete? We'll get that fixed.
Yeah.
Well, what was that commercial for?
Well, that was it was the commercial for Sal Asteroid and Cox.
What was the middle commercial for?
I don't know.
We gotta send him a bill. What was it for? It was like for baby locks. I don't even remember what it was.
I have no idea.
It sounded nice. So it was very soothing music.
Yeah. Hold on a second. Now it's all thrown off here. Hold on a second. We might have to run it at the end there, D.
All right, we'll run it again. Well, you got it ready here. But talking baseball, again, brought to you by Salar Asterita and Cox, boutique law firm for your white collar needs. By the way, and I think I can report this, because it was public. Just so you guys know, when we talk about Salar Asterita and Cox, we're talking about Jim Sala. Again, our buddy, one of the best friends Canes baseball has. He was the attorney for Hawk Tua with her SEC investigation and got her off. I don't know if that is the right way to say it, but the investigation is closed by the SEC as to Hawk Tua and her Bitcoin. That's her meme coin or whatever she put out there. So shout out to Jim Sala.
I'm seeing it now. He's got his name in TMZ, man. I might have to.
Oh, he's got a TMZ.
Might have to bring it up here real quick.
Bring it up.
This is actually big news. I did not see this.
You didn't see this? There you go.
I didn't. Here we go.
What?
Haley's attorney, James Sala.
The SEC closed the investigation without making any findings against.
We're having all sorts of issues here.
The ads, man. Now I know why people complain about the ads on our site. They're popping up everywhere.
There we go.
or seeking any monetary sanctions from Haley, aka Hawk Tua. Because they did not bring any action against her, there are no restrictions on what she can do in regards to crypto or securities in the future.
That's why you hire Salah Asterita and Cox right there.
That's why you hire Salah Asterita and Cox, the best friends Canes baseball have. If they can fix Canes baseball, they really deserve even more money than they're getting from Hawk Tua, because a lot to work with from he says Canes will donate money to the baseball program. If I don't know what he's talking about there, Canes Cat Heat 305. But anyways, tough series with North Carolina. The pitching played great. It was really outstanding performances from the pitchers, but you ultimately go down 1-2, fall at 15-14. Overall, Canes baseball 2-7 in the ACC, which really tough opening slate of the ACC. You played three really good high-end ACC teams, which there's a lot of them, but you played kind of the top of the conference to start. But North Carolina ranked 21st, I believe, going into the series. You lose the first game 2-0. Griffin Hugas pitches an absolute gem. Griffin Hugas, the best addition in the portal by far, probably the best player on the team overall, pitcher from Cincinnati, who's going to go in the top 3 rounds of the Major League Baseball draft. Pitch a gem, but you didn't score any runs. So you lose on Friday 2-0. Then the next game, Walters doesn't pitch that great, Brian Walters, but you do have incredible relief performances by some of the young players, Tate Durias, Mikey Fernandez, the lefty. So those freshmen kind of carried you, but you still didn't get enough juice from the offense. You lose 4-2. Salvage a little bit on Sunday, and you see this kind of refigured rotation where Nick Robert, the original Friday starter, moves to the bullpen. Hugas moves up a day. Walters moves up a day. And then on Sunday, you have another true freshman, AJ Siskar, who pitched great. Cuvée had a big hit with men in scoring position. You ultimately win 4-2. Now you got a huge game at home against FIU, Florida International University on Wednesday, and then a winnable series on the road against Pitt. You got to go at least 3-1 during the stretch. Plus you got Bethune the next midweek. So let's say of these next 5 games, you got to win 4 of them if you want any shot. That'll bring you, to 6-8 in the conference. Or sorry, that would bring you to 5-8 in the conference, which is closer to 500, which is where you want to be, and gets your record a little further from 500 overall. So if you want any chance, you got to go 4-1 over these next 5, preferably 5-0. Let's see what Canes Cats say. We expected 3-6. We're 2-7 right now. We really should be 5-5 in conference with wins over Wake and UNC. There's some close ones that could have gone either way, but you also the 8-0 to Stetson. Some of the losses the midweek to FAU, the UConn series. I think these kind of things. You were hoping to do better with those on top of going 500 in the ACC. So a lot of problems. Here's what Coach Von Donaldson says: we suck. That's one way to put it. Right now, when you look at the Canes offense, they are second to last in the conference in terms of offensively. Let's see, total runs. Total runs are a little higher, but just in terms of like batting average, homers, OPS, you're towards the bottom of the conference in all those offensive categories. Pitching, you're okay. Your team ERA is actually, decent, middle of the pack. You're 5.333. A team like North Carolina is a 3.38 for comparison. So you're maybe below average instead of at the absolute bottom, but you're not doing great. So pitching, batting towards the bottom of the conference, and then fielding, you have the second most errors in the conference. So a lot to work on for JD Arteaga's bunch. This is a tough place in the season and really kind of a rubber meets the road moment for a team that really needs to make a regional, I think, to keep some of the pressure off guys, because as you can see from the comments section, folks are fired up.
I know we're on baseball, but something on basketball just came through as well. Harun Zedno, who we were just talking about, the Bosnian Bulldog, has also set his visit to Villanova, which is where Kevin Willard is at now. So looks like a Miami-Villanova battle officially.
Does he have any ties there?
The coach was
that was his coach.
Him. The coach. He was scheduling a Maryland trip as well. That was the other school in the mix. But Kevin Willard, their head coach, just left to Villanova. So I wasn't sure if they would still be recruiting him, but the news, he just said now that he's going to be visiting Villanova as well. So it's looking like Miami-Villanova sort of battle.
Nathan's saying we need a Canes Insight baseball coaching board because I'm sure we're looking for a replacement. Anything baseball related, you can get CanesInsight.com, the baseball board, the Ron Frazier Memorial Baseball Board, the most active baseball community on the planet, other than, I guess, the Twitter thread that Canes Cat Heat threw up 5 runs. So there's plenty out there. The good thing is baseball gear is still in style. So if you go to Miami Hurricane team store using promo code INSIGHT20, whether you're in person or you're online, they got the great Canes baseball gear, the great Old English stuff. They got that cool Adidas jersey, the Adidas kind of jersey shirt, the sweater combo, the jacket for those still in the cold weather. Plus, they got all the fishing stuff as you get ready for the summer from Columbia. So Miami Hurricane team store, promo code INSIGHT20, 20% off your first item from the store, in person or online at miamihts.com. This is straight from the source. So you guys are helping the athletic department, who is now paying players, but you're also getting the absolute best gear directly from the source. Miami Hurricane team store, miamihts.com. Shout out to Harry Rothwell. Saw him at practice as well. His son, part of the staff. So this is all family affair here with Miami Hurricane team store. Also, we had a lot of recruits on campus. Kenya Pepe, 5-star. You already got Joel Ervin. You're trying to get Jackson Cantwell. Could you get both 5 stars? Only way you're going to get 2 5-star offensive tackles on top of all the other guys you're going to sign is with canesconnection.com/CIS. Got some exciting stuff coming with canesconnection.com/CIS and content that we're about ready to announce, probably maybe later this week. But you go ahead and sign up for Canes Connection. This is Miami's official NIL collective. You support this. You are supporting athletics directly, not indirectly. You're not supporting, administrator salaries or some building. You're supporting the players getting paid and signing with the University of Miami. You're supporting your coaches being able to we're not at the play stage yet, being able to sign very, very good players with Canes Connection, the only way to actually impact the product on the field, canesconnection.com/CIS. Pete, anything we missed there?
No. I Canes Cat Seat 305 asked a couple times more about Mike Burgomaster. He must have missed my my few minute discussion about it.
He's in like 7 of these probably right now.
Yeah.
You know how he is.
All right, Canes fans, appreciate you all for tuning in today. Hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Go Canes.
Go Canes.